Hello. You know, to those of us who are more used to a Western rational way of seeing the world, our verse of the week is quite a shocker. It's quite a challenge. Listen to these words. They're from Romans chapter 16, verse 20. The God of peace will soon crush Satan under your feet. See what I mean? A few years back, I remember having a conversation with a friend of mine who was in hospital. He'd been in hospital for quite a while and he had plenty of time to think about things. And when I came in, I just popped in to see him, and we had one of those really deep conversations that come along every now and then. And in the middle of the conversation, he said these words. He said, "How do you understand the idea of the devil?" You know, in the West, we tend to caricature the devil, especially at this time of year. We caricature him as, you know, the wee man with the horns and the pointy tail and the red skin and the pitchfork who goes around prodding people and jumping out and saying boo and all that sort of stuff. Very melodramatic. But interestingly, that image of the devil cannot be found in the pages of the Bible. I don't know where it comes from, some sort of folk tradition or something. In the Bible, the devil or Satan is described as the subtle force that is at work in the world and in our lives. He's called the angel of light or the deceiver, and he's the master of lies. That's what he is. He's the master of lies who excels in tricking us to believe that evil is good. You know, he's very good at dressing up evil as good. And according to Jesus, we ignore the existence of the devil at our peril. But at the same time, he says we're not to fear him. And he says you spot the devil by the impact his presence has on situations or on people's lives. Listen to Jesus' own words in John chapter 10, verse 10. He says, "The thief," or the devil, "the thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy." That's what he does. That's what he's good at. In other words, the devil always promises but never delivers. He's the little voice that whispers in our ears saying, "Go on, there's no harm in it, and you'll love this, and surely this is a good thing to do, isn't it? And everybody's doing it." And the trouble is, it's not a good thing to do. And what he's wanting to do is destroy our peace, destroy our joy, destroy our sense of well-being, destroy our life. Whereas Jesus, on the other hand, well, listen again to that verse and I'll complete it. "The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that you may have life and have it to the full." Yes, Jesus demands things of us. Follow me, he says. Trust me, he says. He demands our commitment. He demands our sacrifice, our self-sacrifice. He demands our trust. But when we do that, paradoxically, when we commit, when we sacrifice, when we trust, we experience life in all its fullness. Life as it's meant to be. Shalom, as I was saying last week. Let me read that verse again. "The God of peace will soon crush Satan under your feet." You know, that verse in Romans 16 is actually a fulfillment of a promise that was made back in Genesis chapter 3. Listen to these words. This is a conversation between God and the serpent in the garden. He says, "I will put enmity between you and the woman, between your offspring and hers. He will crush your head, and you will strike his heel." Who is the God of peace? Well, the God of peace is made known in Jesus, the Prince of Peace. And Jesus has already defeated the power of the devil. And eventually he will destroy him forever. So that's why we need not fear him. But in the meantime, Jesus is still offering us life. A life without deception and a life without fear. All we need to do is put our trust in him. Let me pray. Well, let's all pray together the words of the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Amen. And may you have a fear-free week.